Recorded live from the secret underground lair of Crimson Cowl Comics and Collectibles, this is the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast.
The following issues may contain spoilers. Dig out your dancing pants, kid. It's music time. I'm Anthony.
I'm Kirby.
Welcome to issue number 262 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast. Each and every week, we meet here to talk about comic books. We won't have a club discussion this week, but we will have a huge show for you because we are going to do weekly reviews. That's where we go back and forth. We talk about the books that we've been reading, whether they're new, whether they're old. We're going to talk about them there. Then we're going to do a news segment. I'm going to do part 2 of my C2E2 2023 recap. Go back to the last episode to check out part 1 of my adventure at C2E2, but I will continue forth as I went through Artist Alley, showing off some fun stuff and telling some great stories. Then we're going to do part 2 of our previews preview. Go back to last episode to check out the Marvel and DC selections from the April catalogs, because this week we're going to do the giant previews catalog, which is all the independent publishers, the merchandise, the apparel, the collectibles, and that's for the April catalogs for products coming out in June and beyond. So that is going to be the lineup for our show. It should be a good one here. So we're going to kick it off first with the weekly reviews, and I will be talking about 8 Billion Genies. And at the time of this recording, I should mention that issue 8, the finale, has been released, but this review, while spoilers may happen anytime throughout the show, as per the warning that you heard in the intro, this specific review is going to be just an overall reaction, mostly a one issue kind of spoiler talk, and then just kind of, briefly talking about the series as a whole. So if you've been waiting for it, you haven't read the new issue yet, you're trade waiting, all that stuff, fear not, you're only just going to get extra hyped from the review that is about to come. So 8 Billion Genies. If you had one wish, what would you wish for? What if everyone else on the planet had one wish too? That's 8 Billion Genies. 8 seconds after magical genies grant every person on Earth one wish, the world is transformed forever. And that's just the beginning. This series is done by Charles Soule, Ryan Brown, Chris Crank, and Kevin Nipstein. All right, so I am a huge Ryan Brown fan, going back to my t-shirt here, God Hates Astronauts, as well as Blast Furnace and all the other stuff. And then both him and Charles have done the Curse Word series, which was tons of fun as well. Love all of Charles' work, writing a lot of Marvel stuff, his independent stuff. So basically, anytime I'm going to see Charles Soule and Ryan Brown on a project together, it's going to be an instant buy. We did talk about this one. I think a couple people had talked about it at different times over the last year or so with issue number 1, but the final issue is out. And so this is going to be my overall reaction. The idea of everybody in the world gets a genie. 8 billion genies pop up and chaos ensues immediately. Our main story throughout these 8 issues focuses on a bar. And there's just some kind of young band members kind of setting up a small little gig. You've got the bar owner. You've got a father and his son, whose son's got a birthday. You've got a couple that's coming in, a lady that's pregnant. And basically, when all these people are just kind of showing up at the bar, I should mention the people coming in, the lady that she's pregnant, they're looking for directions. She's not looking for booze in a bar. I should mention that. So once all of these strangers are kind of in the bar at the same time, suddenly this thing happens and they find out with like breaking news on the TV, and they all see it in person as all these tiny little genies, as seen on the cover of issue number 1 here, pop up and immediately tell everybody that you have one wish, and they kind of break down the rules essentially that kind of get in more detail throughout the series. So Charles Soule definitely did a good job of finding all like loopholes and things like that, and explaining like well, you could just wish for infinite wishes. They kind of take care of that right off the bat. But throughout the series, you constantly see how the genies ultimately can take the wish, but then also kind of choose if it's worthy enough to be granted, and if it's going to cause harm to the world and conflict with other people. For instance, there's it's either an issue one or an issue two, but there is a situation where the leaders of the countries of the world and planet Earth basically all have the same idea of being like, well, our country needs. I wish that our country is the most powerful country and helps all our people, and we're the best. Blah blah blah. And the genies kind of go into detail explaining like. Well, we kind of anticipate that world leaders are pretty much going to act that way. There is one little caveat. I think it was New Zealand. They said, although New Zealand didn't say that, they're pretty chill about the whole thing. Um, but everybody else, as they want to make that ultimate grand wish, the genies basically say, "All right, that's just going to cancel everything else out." They lost their wish, and everything business as normal. But this series explores not only our main characters in this bar here, but seeing what happens throughout time. Each issue, we get a glimpse into the future as the time keeps on going forward. We have, the first 8 seconds, the first 8 hours, the first 8 days, first eight, maybe the weeks, the months. There's 8 decades, there's 8 centuries. It literally just keeps getting bigger and bigger as the issue goes. And you kind of see all of our characters and the ones that, either survive or they don't, and how they last throughout this world where everybody has this wish. And you see the people that come up with the crazy stuff, whether they want to be superheroes, sometimes super villains, if they just want to be rich, if they want to have love, like all of this stuff is explored. And that is where Ryan Brown comes in and totally, knocks it out of the park. This book is a perfect setup for Ryan Brown to basically do everything that he has been doing in God Hates Astronauts, where he's just doing all of this really, off the wall crazy stuff. And he gets to do it in this book as well because he gets to draw all the crazy, giants and the crazy things happening in the world. And, you see giant, transformers there's even a scene in space where you see some like a Star Wars, you see an X-Wing. I think there's a Enterprise in there and stuff. So him just getting to draw all the crazy stuff still works within the context of this very deep story about how humanity would react and how selfishly they could react to having a wish and do anything with it. The series just gets better and better. I happened to reread it all leading up to the eighth issue that came out this week, so I read it all in a sitting now, and I loved it even more. It was fun just to kind of see these characters grow and see where they go, especially by the end of it, of just seeing how much time goes forward, and you kind of really see how humanity exists within this crazy concept of a story. But the 8 issues, I think it's a very satisfying full circle closure. Uh, while there definitely is plenty of room to for them to do more, I know they have deals with Amazon and things are going forward. It seems all pretty positive based on their C2E2 panel that they've recently had with John Suntress of Word Balloon. So check that out. But there's definitely a lot of room. It's a very satisfying story if you were just committed to this. But if you want more of it, I think there's definitely a lot of avenues for them to go down to and revisit this in the future by the time some of the adaptations come out and add some new stories. But yeah, this was fantastic. It definitely was a big hit across the comic book fandom and collecting fandom and all the multiple prints and all the variant covers and all that fun jazz. And but at the heart of it, you have an awesome story and very, very satisfying. So once again, Charles Soule and Ryan Brown, anytime their name is on a project, it's definitely going to get my attention. And they continue to impress and secure that guarantee with 8 billion genies, all 8 issues available now. And just because I have them here, I'll just kind of do a quick little run through of all the covers. You got a lot of the genies on there. You see some of our characters throughout time. Ryan Brown is awesome with action and fighting and superhero mayhem. So you see a lot of that throughout the series, but there's a lot of touching moments with family and stuff going on there. If you're a fan of Ryan Brown throughout the series, if you look into the background, this goes for anything that he does. He is very awesome with sneaking in little references and maybe some characters we've seen from the series that he's worked on as before. And then while all those covers are pretty chaotic and action packed, it was very interesting to see the final cover here with a plain white background and one of our genies just holding a glass of some sort of beverage. But that is 8 billion genies.
Yeah, that genie's basically probably waiting to show us that we're so stupid that we're gonna ruin everything and there's not gonna be nothing left anyway.
Yeah,
But,
and it
well,
yeah, and like there was another thing too, like it's only a tease, but just talking about how greedy people get to the point where genies are used basically as bargaining chips. They basically become currency, and when you see the world just kind of go crazy and blow up, and you see how everyone has to react to it, and the fact that everybody keeps their wish. There's no expiration on their wish unless they happen to die. Then it's a wasted wish. But there are definitely characters that hold tightly, even in chaotic situations that could affect a loved one. They still hold back from being able to fix it with just a quick wish that could fix it right there. But they also think there could be a lot of consequences if you don't word this correctly, and that could just set off a whole butterfly effect and all that stuff.
yeah. Definitely, if you're into it at all or want to learn more about it, definitely check out that Word Balloon podcast from C2E2. That was a wonderful panel that they did. So I
Agreed.
learned a lot more about the creators. So, but yeah, I'm slacking on some of their back work. I have the omnibus and stuff. I just got to get in there and start reading all that.
And I'll just give a quick tease before you go there because Damon has those as well. And we've talked about where we're going beyond Hellboy. And since we're basically looking at his shelves and seeing what omnibuses need to be tackled yet. So Curse Words and God Hates Astronauts may be a future, YouTube spinoff book club edition too. So
Yeah, I'd definitely be part of God Hates Astronauts. I'll hang on to it till then. All right. I checked out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Usagi Yojimbo, WhereWhen by Stan Sakai and Kevin Eastman. And I got my copy in and I'm like, oh no, I got the Eastman cover, which isn't a bad thing. I love Kevin Eastman, but if you give me something Stan Sakai, I gotta take him over any other creator. And so today I had to go and pick up the Stan Sakai cover because I have the rest of them coming in the Stan version. But this was, I've been waiting for. When I heard about it, I was so excited. It's the perfect crossover. And once I started reading it, it was better than I expected. And I just love the way they're doing this. It starts out with Usagi Yojimbo's story, telling you about the history of what's going on with them. They're on their way from the last Usagi Yojimbo run, they're on their way to a big battle. And on their way, they run into some peasants and they're having some problems with a demon that's attacking their village and killing a few people a week, taking them off and drowning them. And the demon's called a Kappa, which is a turtle demon. And so while they spend the night at the camp, a few of the members go off and decide to see about trying to find this demon and rid it of the area so they don't have to worry about it anymore. And they come across some things. And while this is happening, we jump over to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles world where they're battling a robot's character that's making all kinds of other robots and to take over the world. And while he's doing that, the turtles are trying to take him out, and he's got a time traveling device. So he's sitting there trying to get ready to use this time traveling portal. And when he does, the turtles do their thing and a bunch of stuff happens. The turtles end up having to jump back in time to try and catch this character that leaped ahead of them. And while this all happens, it's going to all intertwine both stories. And this is, I don't want to go any deeper into the first issue. I want you to, the people to read this, but it's wonderful what they did with this crossover so far. I'm really looking forward to what's happening to it. But if you can imagine, we got a turtle demon in one world, we got turtles jumping into that world, and it's going to cause all kinds of conflict in the future and stuff. And eventually, I'm sure they'll figure each other out and work together to deal with the other menaces that they have. But the turtles have gone back in time to feudal Japan in the past with lots of other storylines. So this is going to be a really fun one, crossing over with Usagi, Yojimbo, and all the characters. And they have our main characters that many of us that know Stan Sakai's work and stuff that will be part of the storyline. So that's going to be a nice little bonus there too. So yeah, I'm loving this already and I can't wait for the rest of it. I wish it would be an ongoing, but it's only going to be like a 4 or 5 issue run. So.
And it sounds like for people that maybe don't know a lot about Usagi, it sounds like it does a good setup just to kind of catch you up with the character.
Yeah, because he's kind of just joined this new clan to be their main samurai. So you're kind of just learning about them as they're making their journey. So I think it would be easy to jump on if you don't know nothing about either side, actually. So
excellent. All right, the next one I'm talking about here is actually a pickup from C2E2 from a Chicago-bound creator. We're talking about Return Home. This is a 28-page horror comic about the first human crew to land on Mars. And if you're watching the video, you'll see that myself and Kirby have a copy of this as I picked it up and I went through Artist Alley looking for some kind of real kind of self-published comics, and I came across the creator of this one, and I think I'll pronounce his name decent here, Kyle Fenrich, I believe is how you would pronounce it. And I do have a little information about the artist here. You can find Kyle at goonsandgoblinsart.com. That's an N between goons and goblins. Kyle is a comic artist and illustrator from Chicago, drawing from a variety of influences. His main inspirations for his style come from the horror genre and medieval woodcuts. Creatively motivated by a fascination with the dark and the unknown, he attempts to create fantastical worlds that dance at the crossroads between horror and humor. His upcoming graphic novel about E-Junkie, debut, E-Junkie, written by Nicholas Tana, is coming out in fall of 2023, produced by Scout Comics and distributed by Simon & Schuster. So yeah, I picked this up, once again, just looking for some local comics, and I was intrigued by the cover. Kirby put me on a mission to pick up some stuff too that would intrigue him, and I would assume this design here was enough. And it is a one-shot comic, so it won't go into too many details. It is very accessible because not only if you go to his shop, once again, goonsandgoblinsart.com, but on that website, you can also read this story for free because it is one of those that was produced as a web comic, and much like God Hates Astronauts with Ryan Brown, where he put that stuff on his website for years and would eventually collect it for people that want physical copies. So this is a very accessible comic. You could also purchase these physical copies and other things in prints over at those links. So just search for Kyle Fenrick. And but yeah, so let's dive into this, kind of giving an overview of the story. Return Home. We basically see this crew talking about having to flee Earth, going to a new place and a new planet. And even though it said it in the description, I don't think it's called out here about Mars. I think that was new information that it's specifically Mars. But yeah, we see our astronauts basically kind of following these coordinates to get to this location to find basically a new home. and they instantly kind of find out that there's going to be almost the same issues going on and not being able to live there. And there's a lot of some rift between some of these with the captains and everybody that's kind of on this team. There's a lot of infighting going on, which really kind of gets into the action. You throw in a little bit of humor in there, mostly coming from them kind of swearing and calling each other names and such. Um, but yeah, the action really kicks off is when they basically have to start fleeing from this location as they kind of enter this kind of tomb kind of area, this enclosed area, and chaos kind of ensues from there. Once again, since it is a one-shot story, don't want to go into too many details, but I would like to throw it over to Kirby, who read this as well. If you had some thoughts on Return Home as well.
Yeah, that helps me out when you said the Mars part. I should have known from one of the pictures when they show the planets around. I should have known it was close by and stuff. But yeah, I didn't mentally pick that. I was thinking they were just out in space and found a planet and decided to go on it.
Yeah, I think that's only through his online description because yeah, going back, I don't think it's called out, which kind of serves, it's kind of lets the imagination run wild for anybody. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I love how you got your black and white with your color word balloons in here, and then just slight touches of bright colors at certain points that kind of highlight things. And it's again one of those things where when you're exploring and you find something and there's things are unusual and stuff, you should definitely second guess it, not just jump into things. But yeah, that makes for a good story. I always go crazy when I just want to yell at the characters sometimes. But yeah, it was an interesting twist on how things were laid out and how they were set up and what happens. And it's just, yeah, you got to read it. I don't want to ruin it either because it's a very quick read. When I first sat down with it, I'm like, it was like a half hour before we did our podcast last week, and I'm like, did you read it yet? 'Cause I just sat down and read it in like 15 minutes. But yeah, the story was fun, the art was fun, I love the color effects in it, and it was very well done. A nice little interesting twist on our future travels, that hopefully our planet won't be so desolate that we have to get off it. Hopefully we'll be able to explore before that happens, because otherwise you're not going to have a planet to come back to probably.
For anybody watching on YouTube, I think there's going to be one other panel that I'll just show really quickly, just to kind of give a style of maybe some of the horror elements, which is what Kyle seems to focus on in his other work. But just to see a little glimpse of some of the stuff he gets to design outside of like the human characters. Going through his web presence, I found out that he has several web comics, some that are like fully colored that are accessible through there. So I'm excited to bust out the iPad and check out the other stuff he has there. And I'm curious. I know he had an ash can for that book that was in the promotion there about his graphic novel that's coming out in fall. But yeah, I didn't, just kind of looking at the booth, and at that point of the weekend, I've spent a lot of money. So it's one of those being like, all right, here's a $5 investment, got the information, I can check it out. And what was very interesting about Kyle is that the name was very familiar because if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the cover artist for the I Like Robots that was Shadrago. I talked about that probably last fall. Local group out of Chicago, creative artists that did this Kickstarter and contributed all these like little robot stories. And then I looked even further, and last year I was in a photo with Kyle because he was part of a one of the All Yeah parties. So I brought it up there because there was a photo that Joe from Skokie posted. So there's Kyle down in the corner, and then I'm hamming it up in the top there with my Action Cat and Adventure Bug shirt. But I look in there and I'm just like, he was so familiar, but I didn't know it in the moment. So it was kind of funny to be like, oh, I've already been around this guy. And then doing more research, I don't know if he's still a current employee, but it said he was employed with Oh Yeah Comics in beautiful downtown Skokie. So there was multiple connections there, and then once I look online and I see that like, oh, all my favorite people follow him. You know, you got your Minerva Fox who's in that photo, you know, Art and Joe and everybody. You know, I'm like, okay, this guy is like really local. It just kind of threw me because booth wise, he was like towards the beginning of Artist Alley, whereas like a lot of the Oh Yeah in Chicago, like that kind of specific Oh Yeah crew were towards the end of Artist Alley. But yeah, that was kind of fun to discover that I would had already been in his presence, and I'm excited to dive through those other web comics, and I'll have to look into that graphic novel debut because I think this was the comic debut with this 28-page one shot, and then but yeah, I think the graphic novel is the big thing. He had told me that he loves doing this kind of stuff because he has the job there to do some company work and stuff like that, but that it just affords him to be able to do things like this and have no and basically looking at the back here when it says this comic is approved by nobody, approved by nobody, and then there's a little message there for anybody who
Yeah, I was gonna show that, but I didn't know about it.
I'll show it, people listening, they don't know what I said, people watching that have to pause it, but we'll just leave it at that. So
At least I know he's close by, so I can get him to sign my numbered comic. It's like,
speaking of what number did you get on the back there? I didn't even notice that till the end, till I gave him
I think I had number 50.
because I had number 2 here.
Or no, it's 50 signed copies. That's right. I got
Yeah.
number. Yeah.
What number?
Number 3.
Okay.
Yep.
So one person got before me there but yeah, I
Like,
mean,
number 1. A lot of artists will keep one copy of
there we
the
go. So this might be the true number 1
number.
of a second printing. Yeah, my guess was something like this. Like if this second printing was a run of 50, it's very possible the first run could have been 50, maybe even lower, just because of taking a risk and kind of throwing yourself out there. But enough demand, you're like, all right, let's put it back to print. But yeah, Goons and Goblins is his like main theme. Goons and Goblins art when you find him online and stuff, and he's got a lot of stuff to look at when you find out his website and go to the website and stuff. Cool. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Check out Kyle Fenrich with Return Home and the website that I've mentioned a couple times.
All right. Well, I checked out the Savage Dragon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. They have number 1 and number 2, but it's very strange because the first one has the turtles and the Savage Dragon are dealing with giant statues that come to life. And so the Savage Dragon was sent to where are the turtles at? Manhattan, I believe, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So the Savage Dragon was sent to their town to help out with this issue. No one knows about the turtles, of course, because they're ninjas. So they don't know that the turtles are out there trying to deal with this menace. They bring the Savage Dragon in because he's a police officer. And that way he can work with the cops, help them out, and not have the cops totally against him, trying to take him out because he's a super himself. But yeah, he had some pretty wicked. I mean, this giant statue, you look at the size of the turtles compared to this thing, and it's all stone. It's just a giant gargoyle type statue. So the turtles beating on them with their weaponry and stuff isn't doing anything, but the Savage Dragon has a pretty lethal punch, and he can bust through rock or any type of material pretty much. There hasn't been anything I haven't seen him able to destroy yet. But the nice part about it is once the cops do come in, of course, a police officer is like, hey, you big dumb green guy, it's like, who are you? And he's like, hey, I was sent here. I'm supposed to help you guys. I'm a police officer too. And once he finds out, he's like, okay, cool. Takes him to the chief, and chief knows about everything. They work it out and figure out that they're gonna end up working together, teaming up, pretty much let the dragon do his thing, and then they'll come in and do the cleanup in the end whenever they come across anything. But we have this lady that's got special powers, and she can bring statues to life, and it wears her down, drains her down every time she brings a statue to life. And there's things going on around the city while these statues are coming to life where old ladies are dying, getting killed off. And they're assuming that the statues are killing off the old ladies, but in the long run, we think that this gal rejuvenates her powers by somehow absorbing elderly people, or we don't really get the full details of it. And we go through the whole story in the first issue, and it pretty much gives you an ending, but leaves you hanging with a very good opening for a conclusion. And I want to say before I get to that part, the turtles, the savage dragon, they're fun together. They're a great team up. But he gets to know the turtles a little bit and stuff in here. And then we go to issue 2, which gives us, we see a female that's part of Savage Dragon's world that ends up appearing at the police station. She's like, I'm here for backup. I'm told there's a bunch of things going on. She's going to help out. But yet she's not part of this first part of the story. And this isn't really a second part of a story. This isn't really a new story. I screwed that up. She's filling in for the Savage Dragon at his police station while he's working with the turtles over in the Manhattan station. And then it goes into the Savage Dragon and the turtles dealing with their gargoyle issues, but the turtles attack the dragon in number 2, and they battle it out for a little while, and then they find out that he's a cop and he's not the bad guy. He's out there trying to go after the gargoyles too, but he doesn't know their names. He doesn't know who they are. They attack him and all that, and it's basically a restart of the whole story. And here it's just kind of like a long revamp of the original story, but it shows you stuff we didn't see from the first one. And then it gets to the point of the giant flying gargoyle that they first deal with in the first story, but yet it's a whole different battle and a whole different layout. And then it's all the same enemies and all that. So you are getting a revamp, but it's called almost like a prequel. And then it links into the start of the first one. But yet the story's a little twisted, a little different. And then we jump over to, where are we? Firefight, which is a story of Supreme and some other characters from the Savage Dragon world. We got like a fire character here that they're battling and dealing with, and Dragon eventually comes into this one. And then you take the comic and you flip it over, and we got a Vanguard story, which is part of the Savage Dragon world also. So, and they're all enjoyable stories. I mean, we get some of the old horror creatures when they talk about creatures, but what they mean are these type of creatures. It's just, they're all wonderful stories, but it was just so strange when I was expecting 2 parts of this story, and it just basically a recap, a prequel, and then kind of throwing me really off balance by throwing in 2 other stories along with it. But yeah, it was enjoyable. I'm glad I have them. I'm glad I picked them up. I'm still going through my big old stack of Savage Dragon items and keep coming up with some really fun, interesting crossovers. But yeah, it's
And this one paired well with having the turtles and the Usagi, so I assume that's on purpose to be like, hey, let's throw this in. Or
I do notice something else now. I didn't realize this. Number 1 is from Mirage Publications. Number 2 is from Image.
Okay.
So that might be why. So there might be a number 1 from Image that I should check out and see if that's different. But yeah, this must have been right during a crossover because, well, I think the Turtles were being done on Mirage and Savage Dragon was done on Image. So I think that's might be why they did it that way.
Yeah, that's sometimes when they'll have crossovers, at least for modern stuff, like when Batman and Turtles crossed over, it depends. Like one of the logos will be like the lead publisher or something, but yeah, maybe back then they just kind of ping pong back and forth and made you jump from publisher to publisher to get the next story. But
and these were done about 6 months apart, so that might have been why there was such a big change of it. So yeah, definitely fun though.
Well, that pairs up perfectly with what I'm talking about when you have like the Image flipbook style, because that is very prominent in my next title here, which is Local Man, issue number 1. Once the star recruit of the media sensation Super Team 3rd Gen, Jack had it all. But when controversy sends Crossjack crawling back to his mom and dad's basement in the Midwest, Jack struggles to fit into a world he left far behind. And then the bodies start piling up. Each issue is a classic Image Comics flipbook with a lead story drawn by Fleeks and a superhero flashback into the depths of the Image universe drawn by Seeley. This comic is done by Tim Seeley, Tony Fleeks. I'm going to double check and possible autocorrect here. Brad Simpson, not Brand Simpson, Brad Simpson and Felipe Sobrero. So this was something I didn't pre-order. This is something I picked up mostly because I saw Tim Seeley's name on there. I had a light week at the comic shops. I flipped through the rack and I saw Local Man. I saw number 1. I'm like, all right, I'll go completely blind into this. This is a great jump on story. I have no idea what the Crossjack and the neck or the what is it called, 3rd Gen. I assume that's all stuff that had happened in Image Comics, like there was a team and a series. I know nothing about that. And going into the series, you don't need to know anything about that because you get a very serious story kicking off where this guy named Jack, right there on the opening page, is sitting there just waiting for a bus that never comes. He's going back to his hometown in the Midwest. Every person he interacts with as he's walking back home, because he realizes that the bus doesn't come by there anymore. Every person he eventually interacts with knows who he is and is very upset with him because he is part of this superhero team and he has done something very controversial that basically got him kicked off the team. That's a story that I am assuming is part of the thread for however long this story is going. But issue 1, it's part of the narrative that we don't know, and especially me because I'm not familiar with these characters. But I'm guessing for anybody reading this, we're left to not know what's going on. Even very testy with his parents when he's going in there to see his mom and his dad. And then there's a funny little scene when he pulls up because he's late for dinner because he missed the bus and all that stuff. And he pulls his chair out from the kitchen table and his dog Pepper is there. And he kind of reacts to the fact he's like, wait, Pepper? He's like, this dog must be invincible. How old is so like this dog apparently must have been in his life forever. And so it's just a funny little surprise, but it's him basically kind of getting back, relocating in his hometown, trying, being frustrated with the parents. They're frustrated with his decisions and his public persona and whatever it is that he's done, part of that superhero team, that he's kind of disgraced the name and the family and reputation and all that. He does have a scene where he goes to a local bar, sees an old fling, possibly, maybe a friend from high school. You definitely get the idea that they at least had a relationship, or possibly he had a thing for her. But he's catching up with this old friend. There's a little scuffle that happens in the bar because, once again, everybody is basically on his case and is not too happy seeing Jack just showing up here like this and trying to act like a normal dude. We do see a little cameo from that superhero team. Once again, it's very, the story is very enjoyable if you have no idea who these people are, even if you're meant to know them from the 90s Image Comics or something. But it still worked because you get the idea of this guy who's been basically excommunicated from his superhero group, and now he has some sort of abilities yet and everything like that. um but he's kind of gone back to a hometown where maybe they don't even want him either. I think the classic saying is, you can always go back home. Not for Jack. He's not having a good time with that. When you flip it over, you get the so once again, the image flip side. What's cool about this cover I picked, which I think was a variant, is that we're looking at the comic that I'm about to flip over to. We're looking at that cover that's on like a breakfast table, but when you actually flip over, it's that cover, because now you get that story that's done in what looks like the classic 90s Image Comics superhero art style. And then you get to see some adventures of this, once again, the cross jack and the third gen. So I didn't do enough research to see if this was existing stuff here, but all I know is it was a very interesting, very entertaining #1 issue that has my attention. So I will be picking up more. That is Local Man #1.
Awesome. All right. My final one is Unstoppable Doom Patrol #1. Got a new run going finally from Doom Patrol. We got most of our main characters. We got Robot Man, Negative Man, the Last Woman, the Chief, and our new character, Beast Girl. But she's a lot of fun. She can kind of like take over your mind, change your thoughts, kind of more like change your mood and mess with you that way. Don't know what her other abilities are yet. And she can obviously climb things. She's a little beast-like character, kind of her big puffy tail and stuff. But yeah, our gang comes into Gotham City to deal with something that's going on that has what are they considered? Basically a super that has those abilities, the abilities that they have, not like someone that was given
Yeah,
given their powers, and not someone like,
yeah. The term is on the tip of my brain here.
yeah, I might come across it in here as I'm thumbing through it. But yeah, I can't think of it offhand. But they sit there and come across these entities, these little, like, kind of little spider-like characters that are coming out of this building. And while they're dealing with them, we also have these blue guys that work in the building that are coming out saying, hey, there are creatures, we can deal with them. They got specialized weaponry that can sit there and kind of devolve the creatures. And while they're battling away, mega huge one comes jumping out of the building that the crew has to deal with. And they use their powers in certain ways. It's fun to see how they're dealing with this entity. It's not like as bad as like the first I've only watched the first season and a half of Doom Patrol so far. I can't wait to finish it and catch up on the other season that they had. But they I've kind of lost where I was with that. But they get along better. It's like the teams obviously work together enough. They work together well, whereas in the early days there was a lot of feuding, fighting, arguing, and all that stuff. But since they're in Goth, okay, go ahead.
Is it Metahuman?
Yes, that's it. Metahuman.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead.
It was something simple. That's why I didn't write it down. I figured I'd have it in my head, but I lost it. But
so
yeah,
they work together well. Yes.
Yeah, they're doing wonderful, and they're in Gotham City, like I said. So they're gonna have some competition. Batman and Robin show up in this issue, and if you are following anything with the Lazarus Planet storyline stuff, this all kind of follows in from that. So you're following up right after the whole Batman Robin story with the Lazarus Planet and the Lazarus Planet storyline itself and everything, all the side stories that are going on. Because I wanted to read the one with the Doom Patrol in it, but I must have pulled it off my pull list and never got that issue. So now I got to go back and find out more. But that's kind of how they got the Beast Girl, I guess. It was from that episodes. What was going on with that is how she joined up in the team, which I guess. So I got to find out her origin story. But yeah, it's fun seeing Batman and Robin. Of course, they want to take the characters, the creatures in and deal with everything themselves. They don't want help. Doom Patrol's like, well, this is a metahuman related incident, and that's why we're here, and we're gonna deal with it. And so you see everything, and Robin's in the background, like, yeah, let them deal with it. Like, they know what they're doing. It's they have powers, we don't. Let's just let someone else take care of it. But yeah, it's fun watching how both parties work between each other and deal with things crossing over with each other. And I personally think if you've never read Doom Patrol before, this would be an enjoyable way to get into it, because like I said, you're not dealing with the conflict and stuff right away. You got some of the most fun characters thrown in and a new character that looks like she's going to be a blast, and who knows what's going to happen beyond. But yeah, this is a nice little short run that they got going on for Doom Patrol. I'm glad I jumped on it. I hesitated for a second, and I'm really happy I did. Now I just want to go back and get a little bit more story from Lazarus Planet to fill in some spots, but honestly, you don't need to. You'd be fine just jumping on at this point. But yeah, lots of great characters.
Yeah, I just made a note for myself to browse the shelf and see if I can track that down, because yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yep, I enjoyed that. Better than I expected. So.
Cool. And yeah, I'm in the same boat where I've seen season 1 of Doom Patrol. I own season 2 and 3, I think, on Blu-ray, because I think they've done 4 total, or 4 is airing right now. So there's quite a few out there. I'm sure they're only like 10 episodes each or something, but yeah, I've basically just been piling them out because I love that first season, but I need to watch them all yet.
Yep.
Cool. All right, well, that is going to do it for the weekly reviews. Before we jump over to the next segment, if you are watching on YouTube, you are going to get the trailer once again for Cartoonist by Night, which is a new show that I am hosting, a drawing show alongside the comic creators that are known as Troy Dungara. You have Matt Fife and Matt Rogers and myself are all hanging out to draw. We are recording our very first episode soon, but we do have a trailer that's up there. So if you are listening on the audio, just go to cartoonistbynight.com or Cartoonist by Night over at YouTube to check that out yourself. But if you're watching the video on YouTube right now, the Crimson Cowl Comic Club on YouTube, you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to sit back, relax, and keep popping the popcorn, because here is the trailer, and we'll be back with the news right after.
Hi, everybody. I'm Troy.
I'm Matt Rogers.
I'm Matt Fife.
And I'm Anthony Latch, and we are Cartoonist by Night.
We all met online thanks to our shared interest in comics and cartooning.
On our show, we hang out to draw and discuss whatever pop culture topics are on our minds.
We are fully aware that a show like this has never existed before, and we hope we live up to the hype.
So join us at our website, YouTube, and other social media platforms and watch us cartoon by night. The actual show isn't going to be scripted like this was. Oh. Okay, this is going to be part 2 of my C2E2 2023 recap. Go to the last episode to check out part 1. This is me going down Artist Alley and checking out all the favorite people that were on the list for C2E2 this year. However, there is one person that wasn't at C2E2, but this is a recent mail call that I never end up showing. So I'm going to throw this and usher this into Artist Alley because I did get some original art. I asked for a commission from Troy Dungara, who is a past guest here on this very podcast and co-creator of an upcoming Cartoonist by Night. I asked for Swamp Thing and Man Thing. Kirby knows here that I've been trying to get, anytime I do like a bigger commission with 2 characters, try to get an artist's take on Swamp Thing and Man Thing. I've gotten Art Baltazar to do it. I've gotten Scoot McMahon to do it. Ryan Brown has done it. And now I'm like, all right, Troy, Swamp Thing, Man Thing, do whatever you want to do with it. Don't give him any other direction. And he pitched an idea to me, and I said, run with it, because that is awesome, because it happens to be one of my favorite kind of modern era comedies. But we have Swamp Thing and Man Thing, as you would see Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly on the cover of Step Brothers, the movie, for the poster. So he put them into like a nice, like, looks like when you go through your church photo albums of the the church rectory and all the members and everything, and they've got that, everybody's in suits and got a plain background like it's school picture time. So yeah, Troy drew a very smiley. I just keep laughing at how much the grin that Swamp. I don't know. Have we seen Swamp Thing smile outside of maybe a cartoon or something?
I don't think so. He's always got that little bit of anger in him.
I could see him like, if he were to ever smile, it would definitely be in a cartoon episode of something. But this is, back in the 90s cartoon when he probably had a PSA for not smoking and stuff like that. But
you could take it another way, because if you ever get to a certain age and you have to see a doctor for a certain exam, and the doctor puts both hands on your shoulder and he's doing that exam,
so
it could be kind of the Swamp Thing smiling like, hey, because Man Thing doesn't have a smile on his face.
So to take a little line from Chevy Chase's Fletch of Moon River. Well, that put a whole new perspective and made the drawing even better. So yeah, that is original art from Troy Dungara, an excellent addition to my Swamp Thing, Man Thing. I try to maybe get at least one a year, one of the bigger commissions. So I'm excited to see who I'm going to reach out to in 2024 to continue this awesome trend and just let them go wild. But in addition to that, though, just to help protect that drawing, he sent in what ended up being what I'm guessing an artist has. It's just throwaway drawings. He possibly was going to be on the show this week, so I was going to ask him on who this was specifically. I mean, I'm guessing maybe some kind of DC, maybe like a Themyscira princess of sort. Like, I'm not quite sure, but this is something that he just threw in there basically as garbage, because this is just probably practice and sketching and ink testing and all that stuff. But so I got this mysterious, very warrior type woman. This next one, though, oh man, this is a perfect example of how an artist treats their own work, where they could just toss something out. They use it as protective for the real art. And I look at this being like, well, this was purchasable just by itself, because on the back we do have some brush tests there from Troy, but on the front we've got bump it a bump 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 it a bump bump. We've got a Superman in a very toon small, young kid style, and hanging out there at the Daily Planet. And this one was awesome, and I'm just looking, just being like, yeah, this was just meant to be garbage and protect the other drawing, so yeah, I had to carefully peel the tape off of it, to preserve what was left of it there. But yeah, so that was a little bonus. But yeah, so that, yes,
sometimes you get those extra little bonuses, and like I got one recently and I'm like, gee, this is probably worth more than what I ordered.
Yeah, that I look at that just being like, all right, I'd pay like $40 for that, like. All right, so here we go. Going down the C2E2 Artist Alley, meeting many writers and artists, and I came across Bill and Linda Reinhold, who have been in the business for several decades, and plugging them into my CLZ app and see if I was familiar with their work. But I did see that was headline as a Silver Surfer was one of their credits, and they worked with Jim Starlin on doing the art and the coloring for the graphic novel Homecoming. The Silver Surfer has had, I think, 4 graphic novels throughout the 80s and the 90s. And so I had them sign the surfboard there, both Bill and Linda. Um, and so I got that signed. And I was happy to kind of rebuy that image, but into 11 by 17 print because they had that cover represented as a print too. That's one of the classic images that they are known for. And he had several because, like any brilliant artist, they will have a hey, if you buy this many, you can get a discount. That just makes you want to buy more because there's always going to be so many more to choose from. And I had to cut it off at 3. Speaking of Swamp Thing and Man Thing, so here's a black and white print of their take on the swamp creatures. And then keeping it into the Marvel cosmic realm with I love anytime somebody does Galactus and you see the details and the chair and all the gadgets and all the stuff. He's got a very complicated costume when it comes to everything that's all the bells and whistles. So anytime somebody draws this character, it's just always fun to see the extreme detail taken, and it's gorgeous just to stare at there in black and white. Once again, if you are listening to this on the audio podcast version, just jump over to YouTube, hit subscribe. You'll be able to check out these. Plus, the episodes will stay up. The ones disappear on the free channel for the audio version, but you can always go back on YouTube. All right, the next one there I have. Oh, and by the way, I should mention Bill Reinhold is on Instagram and Facebook. BillReinhold.com. He has links to his eBay, which you can buy some original art pages, and he's done tons and tons of work. And it was cool. Linda was coloring a commission as I was talking to him, so it was kind of fun just watching her process. I think she was coloring a Daredevil thing, if I am not mistaken, somebody's sketch cover, I think. But yeah, it's always cool to sit there and watch. And I'll talk about an artist in a future episode in C2E2 recap where I was just watching them. They had no idea I was there. I was waiting for a meet and greet and autograph, but I saw they were like in the zone. So I just like sat there, and then they looked up being like, "Oh, I didn't know you were there." I'm like, "Hey, you were in the zone, so I'm letting you go." But that's just a tease for who that person was. You'll have to tune into a future episode. Next person here is high on my list, Ryan Dunleavy. I want to say Dunleavy, but Dunleavy. It's what it looks like on the spelling there. You can search Ryan Dunleavy on Instagram. He's got lots of links over there for all the different ways you can reach out to him. I talked about this last year. It is one of my favorite things in my entire collection when it comes to comic books. The Illustrated Al, I went into detail about this sometime last year. I got the oversized hardcover version with the Mike and Laura Allred cover. This represents 20 different songs that of Weird Al's catalog and 20 different cartoonists that basically interpret that lyric by lyric. It's the entire song all represented. And I'm excited because when you open up this book, there's several pages in the beginning that are just the blank silver pages here. They do have accordions and what look like chili dogs and scissors and Weird Al's head and stuff imprinted on the actual paper there. But opening this up, realizing, oh, this is perfect real estate for future signatures. So I plan to hunt down several of these creators. There's going to be a lot to track down. Ryan Dunleavy was one of them. So I geeked out about Weird Al. What was cool is that he added this for free and drew a little Weird Al right there in the opening. And what was awesome about that is that Ryan goes, he's like, well, now when you get other people to sign this and they see this, they're also going to have to draw Weird Al. Like he set a precedent where it's just like, yep, everybody has to now do it because, well, if Ryan did it, now I have to do it too. So that was a fun little bonus that definitely, would save me a lot of money in the future if I were to, pay for a bunch of little sketches in there. But so thank you, Ryan, for that. He did the Albuquerque. I think he had an assist on that one as well. But Weird Al's Albuquerque song. So Ryan went into detail talking about, kind of selecting from the catalog and, listen to Albuquerque and realizing I have to do this song. It's one of Al's longer songs. In the modern hits of Weird Al, it's definitely one of the most popular ones that he plays at every single show, no matter what, because it's one of his kind of closing acts. Because he always adds something different. It's him telling a story about Albuquerque and him hating sauerkraut, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on in that song that just leads to a lot of great entertainment when you see it live. And same thing right here on the page, seeing it drawn out. Now, I didn't want to stop the purchases there because I happened to notice he was taking sketches right there at the table, and that was something that I was going to take advantage of. And I saw the price was extremely affordable, and there was no way I was walking away from that. So I'm like, you know what? I will take a sketch. I'm here for the rest of the day. I'll just come back and pick it up. And he had asked what I wanted. I'm like, well, let's go with Weird Al. Why not? So, and he had asked what era of Weird Al, is there any certain, costume, whatever. And I said, dealer's choice, just do whatever. I trust you. And so I came back and he did this awesome running with scissors Weird Al Yankovic here, original art. That was just so awesome. And love the long curly hair flowing there and arms outstretched with the scissors. He's wearing his classic, checkered shoes and, dust being kicked up in the back there. This was just beautiful. So it's original piece of Weird Al art. And that made me realize that I need more people to draw Weird Al. And I should almost just throw Weird Al into the Swamp Thing, Man Thing and just make it a trio, because it'd be the most bizarre thing, being like, why? Being like, because why not? So that is that.
Now, when you read the Weird Al book where it's all the songs, did you play the songs in the background while you're reading? Because I've been dying to read my copy, but I'm like, I want to listen to each song while I read them.
So what I did when I first opened and sat down, got my copy in the mail, I assumed it was only going to be snippets and it was just going to be like a summary of each song, until I realized, oh, this is the full lyrics. They're doing and they're interpreting however they want to, it's an artist's take on it, and doesn't have to line up with like a music video, or anything like that. And once I realized that, I stopped halfway through and I queued up every song and I just had it playing and I'm just flipping along. And it was one of the most brilliant experiences I've had. So
yeah, because I just started looking at it, sat down ready to read it, got to the first page, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. I got to get the songs for the background before I do that. And it's like I've been all the comics that have been doing that lately have been wonderful. It's like if you just got the latest issue of I Hate Fairyland, it gives you a code to hit and you get the song to play with the first half the book, which has no words, and it's just
that was so awesome. That was so well done. I subscribed to their pages right away. That band, I'm just like, this was perfection. But yeah, the Weird Al has that same effect, and it's great. And I know a lot of his songs, and you can find them on YouTube and things like that too. But Weird Al's my favorite musician, so all I had to do was pull out my iPhone and go to my Weird Al playlist where 30, 40 years of songs are ready to hit play. So
I have them, most of them, but mine are all on CDs, so I don't want to pick each individual ones.
Yeah, you'll probably be best just go to YouTube and okay, because I think a lot of them too are probably on his official page, because usually the artist will have like lyric videos and stuff like that, so at least you can give the views to the artist rather than if I just uploaded his song or something. So
yeah, I was gonna upgrade my Spotify anyways.
There you go. All right, Becca's Bombshells. We talk about Becca time and time again here on the podcast. Becca's Bombshells, the pinup art of Becca Whitaker. You can find her on Facebook. You can go over to Instagram at Becca Whitaker. That's Becca with BECCA. And just type it in and that'll all pop up with the Becca's Bombshells and everything. So I got another round of prints here. I love Batman Returns. I got to gush about Batman Returns, and and her and the booth partner both, appreciated that, and we all kind of talked about, what we like about the movie. And so she's got a Catwoman and the Ice Princess. I think was it the yeah, I think the Snow Princess. Now I just lost the name. Metahuman, is that the name I'm thinking of? Um, I think she's like Gotham City's Ice Princess, I think is what they call her in the movie. So yeah, that's a nice little mistletoe over them. She's done the awesome take on the breakfast cereal mascots and making them sexy, doing pinup, pinup girls and stuff. So I saw this Fruit Loops one, which was just so bright and colorful, and the blue hair and the blue shoes and everything, and Toucan Sam's right there, jumping in, and this one is just absolutely gorgeous. I picked that one up. And then here we have a Beetlejuice one with Lydia. That was an excellent one as well. Love that being wrapped up with the Beetlejuice snake version, and reading from the handbook there. And this one, just because it's very hilarious in the expressions of all this. But we've got Janine from the Ghostbusters and Slimer just kind of, just sneaking in and doing, something that he shouldn't be doing. But he's a bad guy, I guess. So that's what's going to happen. But Janine is there reacting, and that's just a very sexy pin up there. So Becca's bombshells. She just absolutely knocks out of the park all the time, and there's not going to be a convention that will go by without me stopping at her booth as long as she is there. And last year sometime I bought the original watercolor to a Kamala Khan, so I reintroduced myself and I said, oh, I'm the Kamala Khan purchaser, and we talked about that a little more. So Becca does excellent work. Jill Thompson has been long time on my list of meeting. A lot. She's known mostly for Wonder Woman and her own creation of the Scary Godmother, which is something that's been on my long list. So I finally have to get to that. But you can visit Jill Thompson, thescarygodmother.com. So I had her sign. She was one of the contributors to the Wonder Woman 75th anniversary special. I love grabbing these kind of specials because they have a lot of people that contribute to them. So anytime I grab these books, it's fun just to get a bunch of signatures littered on it. But she was the first one for this one there, got it addressed to me there at the top. But she was super, super nice. She had some cool prints, and this fits in with the thing I showed in the last round here, because she had her Scary Godmother character mashing up with Beetlejuice himself. So there was an awesome print of her character mixed with the icon that is Beetlejuice. So there's just two characters that seem to work very well. I know nothing about the Scary Godmother other than the character and series and everything was created by Jill Thompson, and she definitely has a big following from that. She was super nice, and so I'm excited to jump into her work proper outside of Wonder Woman, and I think she's known for some Sandman stuff too. All right, the last one for this round of the C2E2 2023 recap, because I will, looking at the stack, I might have 2 more weeks of this, depending how deep I go into all the comic book issue signatures. But I want to highlight here with one of a top favorite here, Franco from Oh Yeah Comics. We all know Franco. We all love Franco. We talk about Franco quite often. You can visit Franco on the social media. Oh Yeah Franco, wherever you can search it. blindwolfstudios.com. I picked up this original sketch here of Carol Danvers' version of Ms. Marvel. It just does an awesome thing. We're just kind of drawing the head, and then it's not doing the body, but you've got the logo from the swimsuit version of the Ms. Marvel character from that era, as well as the red sash, and just an awesome unique little strip drawing here. So little cardboard strip. So yeah, that was awesome. But there is something else from Franco that I have to reach down for, because yeah. Now I've showed this off several times, like just through text, and did it through Zoom. Kirby, I didn't mention this on this podcast. I don't think I did this on air. About to show off with the big Franco item. I don't think I've done it on air yet. So
On air as far as I know.
okay, so because it's been sitting around here by the desk, I've been showing people in Zoom whether we did the Hellboy podcast or did this or that. So I don't think I'm repeating myself here because I know I didn't show the Ms. Marvel thing. But Franco, before going to C2E2, the days leading up to it, he posted basically had like an art therapy session with a painting, and he just kind of just went wild on a canvas and did something that just ended up being what I'm about to show you. But I saw this thing and he said it will be available at C2E2. I instantly put it as my lock screen wallpaper on my phone. I kept staring at it, just couldn't take my eyes off it. It was so mesmerizing and so weird and colorful and beautiful. And when I stopped in at his booth on Saturday, I was looking at the painting because I told myself going into C2E2, if somebody bought that painting on Friday, which I wasn't there for Friday, then it was meant to be. That person was meant to have it, and I'm happy for that person. But if it was going to be there when I was going to be there, I gave myself a deadline because I didn't want to, haul around. I spend all day at the con. I don't make any hotel breaks or anything like that. So if I'm definitely taking something, big and pricey home, I'm going to make sure it's at the end of the show. So I told Franco that I'm like, all right, if this painting is here on Sunday by the time I'm leaving, then I'm buying it. And the reason I'm telling that story is because I bought it. This here is what he calls Taste the Spider Rainbow. And it is an extremely unique, and I got to back up here to show the size compared to my body here. Maybe if I back up a little more, I can match it up with my body, and I can sort of see it here. I don't know if this lines up on the computer. If it looks like I'm sitting here with it. This is a Spider-Woman character in the black suit of the Spider-Woman character with a crazy hair design, drinking, I guess, a Skittle juice box. There's a lot of questions to be had here. And that is why I absolutely love this piece. Because if you know nothing about superheroes, that doesn't matter. You don't need to know this is a Spider-Woman character. You don't need to know anything about that. This is literally just a work of art. This is just a beautiful painting. It's a conversation piece. It's just so bizarre and beautiful. And yeah, so I was so excited to pick it up. But I told myself, hey, if somebody else was going to scoop it up before me, then hey, I'm glad they have it. I can just look at my wallpaper on my phone and just stare at it and cry. But nope, here it is in my hands. And now that I'm done showing it on a podcast, I can finally try to find a spot to hang it. I could always hang it here for the podcast because we do have some more of the show to go yet. So, and I don't think I need anything more. It should fit right here. So let me just, we're doing a live hanging. Let's balance it out. It fits perfectly up against the wall, just a tad more. All right, there we go. Taste the Spider Rainbow. Sorry, Madman, you have to take a seat there for a little bit. So, all right. So yeah, that was awesome. Once again, blindwolfstudios.com if you want to learn more about Franco, and just awesome stuff. And yeah, excited to have this on my wall right behind me now on the podcast. All right. So yeah, C2E2 2023 part 2. I will probably have at least 2 more, if not 3 more editions, because there are a couple big things I'm waiting to talk about, saving for like the finale of the recap. So that's why I did that with the Franco one. So yeah, lots more good stories to be told. So stay tuned for future episodes. But we have one more segment within the news here, and that is going to be jumping over to the preview part 2. And last week we did the Marvel and DC April catalogs, but now we're jumping into the giant catalogs from the Diamond Select previews, going into independent publishers, the collectibles, merchandise, apparel. We're looking at 400, 500 pages of stuff. We can't cover it all, but what myself and Kirby are going to do is that we're going to highlight some of our top picks here from this catalog so everyone can pre-order it and your shop knows to order it and save it for you and all that stuff. Since I just did a bunch of talking, I will throw it over to Kirby first. If you are ready, feel free to. You're not ready?
Nope.
So I will go first. All All right, so I even bought a little bit of time because I'm just like, all right, I need to buy some time for myself. So here we go. I will kick it off because I'm going to start with the back of the catalog first, just for random preference. Over in IDW, this was something that I just laughed at, and it sounds hilarious. This is The Unpettables. These two best friends have had enough of being petted. It's a nonstop, zany middle grade adventure as they bust out of the petting zoo and hit the road to find their destiny. Pigment and Lizardo are free. They recently declared independence from their petting zoo, and now this pot-bellied pig and iguana are out to see the world. They are the Unpettables, and they're available for temporary work as freelance pets. But no matter what gigs the Unpettables may get, they have one very big rule: no more petting. Yeah, this just sounds adorable. It says it's a middle grade graphic novel there. Definitely, a title for me is a very big sell. And I just see something called The Unpettables, and I see this iguana and pig there running in the street. I'll just do a little close up there for the YouTube. I'm like, yep, this looks like a lot of fun. That's over at IDW, and it's credited with Messner and Dennis. I'm not familiar with the creators, but I will once I check out the Unpettables. Kirby.
All right, I got Gold Digger number 300, which I usually don't talk about, something later on, but this is a fresh layout for the Gold Digger, which hasn't had anything in a while. But it's by Antarctic Press. $3 for a number 300 special price, a glorious homage to the original Gold Digger miniseries #1 cover by Ben Dunn, co-founder of Antarctic Press, creator of Ninja High School, and godfather of American manga. It doesn't say much about the book, but I have some of the old ones in the past. I know I've read a couple, but don't remember the storyline with the characters and everything. But I'm a big fan of Ninja High School and everything by these creators, so I will definitely pick up number 300 just to see what's up, since they haven't done nothing in a while.
Cool. Over at First Second Books, which is one of my favorite publishers, they have another volume of the Cryptid Kids. I had talked about, I forget the title. Actually, I think I have one I think I have one nearby because I was picking it up for somebody. They did I think it's a Sasquatch book. Of course, now I'm not going to know where it is, so I shouldn't have even done that. There was another Cryptid Kids where I think it was Bigfoot playing football or something like that. But they have the Bachness Monster, as in Bach, as in a chicken. This here is a middle grade graphic novel about a gang of kids who become cryptid hunters. Penny swears that when she was a little girl, a creature called the Bachness Monster, half sea serpent, half chicken, saved her from drowning. Now, years later, she's about to move away to a new city, and before she goes, she needs the help of her best friends, Luke and Kay, for a vitally important mission to help her see the Bessie one more time and prove what happened was real. But in their quest to find Bessie, the kids stumble into a whole new problem. Cryptids are being kidnapped by an evil collector, and only Penny, Luke, and Kay can save them. Another YouTube zooming in here to see this, half sea monster, half chicken, the Bachness Monster. So yeah, the Cryptid Kids have been pretty fun, and I'm gonna get another volume. So Cryptid Kids, check it out.
Got Revenants Escape from New York Comic Con by the Comic Book Guys. Two Belfast comic book store owners must navigate their way across continents in extreme conditions to the comic book mecca, New York Comic Con. Armed with only their razor-sharp wit and a few priceless store props, they must use their unique set of skills to stop an Armageddon of monstrous proportions, the only way they know how, comic book style. With battle lines drawn in a high-stakes game of deadly destruction, the store owners must face their greatest challenge yet. Throw in a bear with an attitude, some bloodthirsty ghouls, and a fanatical scientist hell-bent on a new world order, the scene is set for murder and mayhem in the city that never sleeps, and where you only get one bite of the big apple. Will they be able to stop the mad scientist's nefarious plans, save the world, and make it back home? Find out in the most thrilling comic book event of the year, The Revenant's Escape from New York Comic Con. You give me a Comic Con mixed in with zombies or monsters, I'm a sucker for it. I have to read them all. So.
Cool. I did happen to find what I was talking about, and I was wrong. They must be two individual series because I have the Cryptid Club, which is Bigfoot Takes the Field. So there's the Cryptid Kids and there's the Cryptid Club, and they're from different publishers. And so it might be just two groups of people doing similar things, but I love myself some cryptid characters and Sasquatches and such. So I'm gonna get it. All right, jumping over to Archie Comics. Chilling Adventures. They've been doing all these little one shots here that have just been very entertaining, very awesome. And it seems to continue here with Chilling Adventures presents Camp Pickens. This one here, we got Tim Seeley on the credits, along with Jordan Morris, Blake Howard, Mike Norton. Whoa, I didn't look at the art here. So we got Tim Seeley and Mike Norton working together after their awesome run with Revival. And now here they are joining up for a Archie horror story. That's amazing. Carola Borelli, Diana Camaro. All right, so Camp Pickens has always been the go-to summer destination for the younger residents of Riverdale. It's a rite of passage for the teen residents to hold the coveted camp counselor positions. However, Camp Pickens' mysterious past shrouds a deep, dark secret. It's cursed, and this summer all of its campers are going to find out the hard way in this one-shot anthology that's equal parts Sleepaway Camp and American Horror Story 1984. Reuniting the team behind the magic hit comic series Revival. There we go. Yes, now I'm just even more excited. I love the cover that they presented here. Picture of the Archie gang at the camp and a giant knife through their picture and blood splattered, and it just has a fun picture there with a horror little accent to it. But yeah, now that you add the whole Mike Norton and Tim Seeley to it all, I'm even more excited. I didn't know if that was even possible, but it is. So that is Camp Pickens over at the Chilling Adventure Presents from Archie Comics.
Yeah, that's good to know, but I was buying it anyways, so it didn't matter. This one I'm super excited about. We got Svengoolie, Lost in Time. #1 by Frank Miller Presents. In the first of 2 specials, MeTV sensation Svengoolie appears in his first full-length comic book feature. As the evil Svenbot goes to the past to undo Svengoolie's future. Learn the secrets behind Sven and his crazy cast of friends. Bodhi, Sorrell, Tombstone, and Kerwin, as told by the show's creators, Rich Svengoolie Kaz, Jim Roach, and Chris Faulkner. Buy this at your local store, and remember, no personal checks. Yeah, I can't wait. I got every Saturday night watching Svengoolie. I'll be watching them tonight. Still waiting for my appearance on the Spawn of Svengoolie, but we did have a member of the Oh Yeah Comics make their video was showing last weekend, which was nice. So
yeah, Mike Campoboso with the with his appearance there. That was a lot of fun. I'm definitely picking this up. If we look closely, we do see under the artist, not only we have Chris Jones, but also Jill Thompson, who I just talked about, and then other recognizable names, even though the last name is spelt wrong, but it's Art Baltazar and Franco. So they are credited here as artists with, I'm guessing, short stories in there. I know we were talking about that, kind of wondering, we heard that announcement. They're not headlined with any covers or anything like that, but yeah, they're credited right here, at least on this publication. So,
well, that's awesome because I haven't got the previews catalog in a few months now, and all they say on here is written by Rich Kaz and art by Chris Jones. And I was like, oh man, I was kind of bummed because I knew Art was talking with Sven, about doing something, and then this happened. I'm like, oh no, did Art get bumped? And then, but then at C2E2, I saw Art and Svengoolie together, so I'm like, okay, maybe they're gonna do something in the future. But now that you told me that, I know what happens.
Yeah, you would think that there would be, they would have variant covers at least, especially with Art and Franco. But yeah, they are credited right here in the catalog, even though they spelled it Art Balthazar. So, but I'm going to take a stab in the dark that Franco isn't going to be cheating on Art and working with a Balthazar instead of a Balthazar. So, but
They do
yeah,
have covers, but not
yeah.
done.
This is on my list as well. We'll have to throw it out there to some of the other members that aren't here, and possibly some of our cartoonist by night friends would most likely be picking this up too. So this could be a possible club discussion, especially with it being a 48 page, assumed one shot here. It says it's the first of two specials, but
Yeah, I would assume that it may be 2 issues,
but yeah, so because we are in need of some club discussions and such, but
yeah, if
we're
you're
the
into
ones.
it, pick up both covers because Svengoolie stuff goes off the shelves pretty quick. So I'm getting both.
Yeah, the covers look pretty cool. I myself haven't watched too much beyond clips and stuff like that, but I got to look to see if I assume MeTV probably has like a Roku app or something like that.
I would
I
think
haven't
so.
looked. I would assume so, but I definitely want to, especially in anticipation of this comic, and I've held so much Svengoolie art over the last, just the last week or two alone. That so yeah, I need a massive catch up. It is one of my weak spots. My one of my there's a term, metahuman. Is that what I'm thinking of? No, I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but it is one of the holes in my fiction. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to cut all that out. Let's
Most
see.
of the, most of the movies are really cheesy, but I like Sven's parts, and
Yeah, I assume with me being a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, that I'm sure I'll appreciate whatever is
yep.
shown on there.
And he does
Alrighty.
have this little fan art section where he shows off things that his fans send to him, and things that the fans send in pictures of their little journeys around the world wearing their Svengoolie stuff. So yeah.
Nice. All right. This is something, a gem of the month over at Boom Studios that I did not know was happening until I opened the catalog. By Dan Abnett and INJ Culberd, we are looking at Wild Zen number 1 of 6. Wild Zen is a series that I've picked up. I think they did like 2 miniseries, and then they did their 3rd volumes just as a graphic novel, and now they're back to single issues. The critically acclaimed anthropomorphic alien invasion saga returns with a brand new story and cast. Journey to an alien-occupied in-a-war England, courtesy of the award-winning creative team that I mentioned. Blah 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 blah. Out at sea during the invasion, our intimate crew of unlucky voyagers returns to a world they once knew. Their once cozy seaside home now occupied by alien invaders, combining a rich cast of oh boy, they added an extra syllable to this one. Anthropomorpha, yep, you know what I'm saying. Characters in the tradition of Black Sad and aliens, unlike anything you've ever seen in the spirit of the world, War of the Worlds, meets the Wind of the Willows. There's a lot of W's going on here. This thing's almost over. Wild's End is a world unlike any other, one you won't want to leave. So yeah, when I see this in the catalog, this means that leading up to June 21st, I'm definitely going to be pulling all the back issues and that graphic novel to revisit all of Wild Zen. Just a very unique, you know, take on, talking animal characters and alien invasions, and just a lot of fun. Pretty cool stuff. So that is Wild's End number 1.
Starting to have tongue twister Tuesday flashbacks.
That was
I
a
got
rough one.
The Pink Elephant, number 1 of 3, by Sumerian Comics. From the writers of Heavy Metal Drummer, The Purple Oblivion, and The Firstborns comes the 80s slasher, lethargic, weird, indie, Lynch-esque story. A group of teens on a road trip meet a creepy old woman at a gas station. A brief back and forth conversation with her leads to a night of acid trips, teen hijinks, and a giant killer with an elephant head. Things are about to get weird. I mean, just the cover is really strange. It's goofy. Probably wouldn't have jumped on it, but it's only a 3-issue run. So I'm like, yeah, I can check it out for that.
All right. Something else that I was not prepared for. I didn't see any of the news until I opened up the catalog. This is definitely something I think I would have seen just in the headlines and social media. And I never thought that I would be buying a boxing comic. But here we are with Creed #1. Let me cut to the premise here. Creed comes to comics under the creative direction of director and star Michael B. Jordan and Outlier Society. 10 years after the events of the blockbuster Creed 3, Amara Creed is on her own path, stepping outside her father Adonis Creed's shadow and training like there's no tomorrow. But when her opponents no longer present a challenge, Amara's drive will have her follow in her father's footsteps, going underground. She'll also need the perfect trainer, but perfection comes with tangled strings attached. I am having a hard time. All right, here we go. Superstar writers Latoya Morgan and Jai Jameson and artist Wilton Santos, alongside Creed 3 director and star Michael B. Jordan, bring Creed to the comics in a story no fan of the franchise can afford to miss. There's a 4-issue miniseries. I love these covers. I love the Creed movies. I'm so with the Rocky movies. I got them all in a big collection. They're not ones that I revisit too often. I don't hold them near to dear like I do like a Star Wars or something like that. But the Creed movies, I think, is just 3 perfect movies, completely rewatchable, entertainable. The third one was just recently in theaters, coming on soon to Blu-ray and digital and all that stuff. I dig these movies a lot, and to see that the character of Amara, who was brought up into Creed 3 in the movie, we're flashing forward into the future, and she's been training. We'll see, to leave it, light spoilers if anyone hasn't seen the movie yet. Seeing how their child that you see in the second movie get born, seeing their child watching and living a life where her father is this, superstar champion of a boxer, and there's no way to kind of hide that, hide her from that fame and fortune and, all the stuff that's in their house and all of his belts and trophy cases and stuff like that. And it's one of those things that she would kind of find a fascination with on her own, where she's kind of hiding off to the side and watching his matches on YouTube and things like that, and trying not to let her parents see that she's watching her father's sometimes very brutal matches. And her character arc in that movie was so fun. And now just to open this up and see that they're going to run with that and give us a comic rather than waiting 10 years until they do a movie, which I hope they do anyways. But we're getting a comic book form of Creed. I didn't think I would be buying a comic book based off of boxing that wasn't Mike Tyson's Punch-Out Nintendo characters. But here we are. I'm super excited for Creed #1 of 4.
Yeah, keep this up. You're going to be into sports eventually.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm going to probably take one away from Anthony. We got Archie and Friends Hot Summer One Shot by Archie Comics. A brand new story kicks off this blockbuster issue in Riverdale Jones and the Burger of Density. Hero burgerologist, it's a real job, trust us. Riverdale Jones is deep in the heart of the rainforest to discover the most delicious exotic burger recipe. Join our hungry hero Jughead with his faithful pet hot dog by his side in this fun and adventure-filled riff on Indiana Jones just in time for the new movie. New movie? Huh? I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this comic.
Well, there is they're doing a Netflix movie, the India movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I just happen to have this nearby because the Archies are coming to Netflix, but I didn't read that synopsis because I did have it bookmarked, but because I read the Camp Pickens one, I just pulled the bookmark and forgot to read the next page. But yeah, I think I'm assuming they're talking about here it is. They're just talking. Oh, the Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. The new indie. Okay. They're
Yeah.
just playing that. I get it.
Yeah,
Damn
not the. Even though there is an Archie Netflix movie that's going to be the Archie's India cast and cast with Indian actors and everything, but yeah, this is referring to the fact that there's a new Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an awesome cover there, seeing the Riverdale Riverdale Jones there, and got a little sandwich all tied up at the end of his whip. So looks like good stuff. But yeah, that is on my list.
Yeah.
And now that I flipped away, I have to. I think I got rid of the bookmark on the other one. It was the Bone Orchard from Image Comics. I think that was the next one I was talking about. So let me find it here. It is right here. Bone Orchard, Tenement number 1 of 10. All right. From the Eisner winning creative team behind Gideon Falls and Primordial and 10,000 Black Feathers comes the biggest and most essential project yet in the bold and ambitious new shared horror universe, the Bone Orchard Mythos. It's an extra length first issue. I am almost done here, folks. Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino bring you to the story of 7 residents in a building and the dark secrets that bind them together, beginning with a death that feels much more sinister than natural. Tenement is the newest entry into the Bone Orchard mythos, and I talked about this before because they had the one-shot graphic novel. I forget what the subtitle was for it. Then they had the 10,000 Black Feathers, which I talked about those 5 issues, I believe. And so far they've been, you could read those out of order and unconnected. I'm sure there's a bigger image, bigger story being told across this. But both of those are jump on points. And here we go with another round of 10 issues of Bone Orchard. Just like Charles Soule and Ryan Brown, where I'm just committed to this creative team. Same thing with Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino with the stuff that I mentioned, their work on Old Man Logan. They've just done a lot of awesome stuff together in this big universe that they're creating with the Bone Orchard mythos. Definitely has been keeping me watching because of Sorrentino's art takes. Just he keeps reinventing the page and the panel format and just kind of keeps breaking the mold and just doing completely original stuff there. So Bone Orchard, Tenement number 1 of 10. Kirby?
All right, this is the last one I got. It's another one I might be taken away from you, but it's Archie Milestones Jumbo Digest number 20. Jughead Superhero by Archie Comics. It's a burger palooza in this newest installment of Archie Milestones Jumbo Comics Digest. Get ready to join a certain caped crusader on his mission to save innocent people from burgerless lives. Wait, what? That's right. Get ready for fun and adventure with Jughead's superhero alter ego Captain Hero. Now, they've had that character out before, didn't they?
Yeah, they've got the Archie, the captain, what's his name? I can't think of Archie's character right now, but they've had their line of their own superheroes.
Captain Carrot Top or something like that.
Dang it, that's gonna
Yeah.
and Metahuman, I think. No,
Yeah.
Pure Heart the Powerful, I think.
Pure Heart. Yep, you're right.
So all the other characters, they've all had their versions. I don't know if this Jughead is the same one that's been in those, but yeah.
Yeah. So I figured I'd check it out.
Yeah, and I haven't done a lot of I don't do new digest, even though some have like the new lead stories and things like that, or the new collections, just because I always have so many old digests to get through yet, so I stick to single issues for the most part. But yeah, so you didn't steal that one from me this time, so
Okay.
I just had to make a metahuman note in my possible titles because I've been saying that word so many times. So there we go. That reminds me to possibly come up with a title from that. All right, my last pick now here is a gem of the month over at Image Comics. Robert Kirkman, Lorenzo De Felici, The blockbuster Oblivion Song team of those creators debut the biggest new comic book series of 2023 with the launch of an all new shared universe and a surprise you won't see coming. This series is Void Rivals #1. War rages around the Sacred Ring, where the last remnants of two worlds have collapsed around a black hole in a never-ending war. However, when pilot Darak and his rival Salila both crash on a desolate planet, these two enemies must find a way to escape together. But are they alone on this strange planet? And what dark forces await that threaten this entire universe? I was going to say this has hints of Saga, and it says right here the most anticipated new series of the year kicks off here for fans of Saga and Star Wars. Robert Kirkman, Lorenzo de Felici. The Oblivion Song was an awesome run. Robert Kirkman's name on a book is definitely going to get my eyes on it, at least for the first story arc. And I'm on board. Robert Kirkman knows how to tell a
think
story.
you talked me into it. We'll see.
Yeah, they do have several. Yeah, they got a couple sample pages of art there, and while the idea, it's not like they're reinventing, space opera based on the synopsis. It's it seems like a very, at least within the premise, a very cookie cutter. Like, yep, you got these warring planets, and you got warring soldiers, and now they have to work together or something. Void rivals, but it's Robert Kirkman telling this story, so there's got to be some. And it says right here, it says it's an all new shared universe and a surprise you won't see coming. So and I'm looking on these pages and I don't see a surprise, so it must be right. So
It can't go wrong with Robert Kirkman.
maybe it brings in Rick Grimes 3000. Is that the surprise in the shared universe?
I'd love for
Honestly.
that to come back.
Honestly, because what really intrigues me, I don't care about the surprise just because, all right, most first issues have your, surprise and your twist and all that stuff. But the fact that it says the launch of an all new shared universe. So I don't know. The original pitch of The Walking Dead, he had, if you never knew this for anyone listening, where when he pitched The Walking Dead and zombies and all that stuff, that they weren't too excited about it. And there was something along the lines where he made up a pitch that it was going to lead to aliens. You're like, oh no, these aren't just zombies. It's a whole alien connection. And that's what got everybody be like, oh, we want it now because it's something different, zombies and aliens. But Robert only did that to sell that book that he believed in and, start putting out issues, and there were hits and all that. And I think the higher ups were just like, yeah, when are these aliens coming into this book? And just being like, oh yeah, they're coming. They're coming. And then, they never came. But it was just one of those things being like, well, they want to hear that buzzword that's going to get them to sell and buy the project. All right, we'll do it. But he was just, so maybe this is that final, this is maybe the alien chapter that will backwards connect to The Walking Dead.
Well, they did do that one shot, didn't they? That had that alien style title.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. And that was probably his own little like tongue in cheek type of thing. But yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, it was the graphic novel, I think.
Yep.
Something. I'm looking at these preview pages to see if I can see Lucille anywhere stuck into the planet. But yeah. All right. Well, those are some of our picks there from these catalogs. We can't talk about everything because there's so many pages, so many creators, so many stories to be seen. We didn't even talk about merchandise and apparel and collectibles. So that's why you should check out the previews, whether it's the physical catalogs in your store, whether it's the catalogs through your online retailer. Build your pre-order list, get people to get your retailers to know what you want, so it's all set aside for you, and that way it's waiting for you, and the publishers know, and everybody knows that you want this awesome stuff. So that is going to do it for the previews. Catalog, get your orders in now. All right, we're going to wrap up the show here with some plugs. If you're watching the video version, you'll see the links for all the things I'm about to talk about in the scrolling credits. But I did realize that if you're the audio listener, you don't see visual scrolling credits. So let me just explain them to you. CrimsonCowl.com. We have free ongoing anthology series webcomics that are being created by the creators of Crimson Cowl Media. It's a dark fantasy comic based on the setting of his RPG campaigns. Chapters 1 and 2 and 3 available now, as well as a winter holiday special that is done by David Gloyd II and David Gloyd I. So check out crimsoncowl.com for Tales from the North. Check that out. Original webcomics. If you want to email us future letters page questions or concerns, Crimson Cowl Comic Club at yahoo.com. Crimson Cowl Comic Club on YouTube as well. Hit that subscribe button to see the video versions of these episodes. And the only thing that you can get on YouTube, because you can't get it in audio, but we do have a Hellboy BPRD spin-off podcast through YouTube, going through these deluxe library editions, and it's the Bureau for Paranormal Reading and Discussion. So it's not the BPRD you think you know. So check that out on the YouTube. Maybe go down here or over here and hit that subscribe button and like and all that stuff. And check out, we have one video up there now, and we record them every 2 weeks. So then we'll kind of, throw them out there every now and then. So that's the Hellboy Book Club series. Crimson Cowl, the Crimson Cowl, all one word, on Instagram. Crimson Cowl Comic Club on iTunes. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and all that fun stuff. Under the Cowl of MS is a spin-off podcast that Kirby does. If you want to let our viewers and listeners know what they can find over at Under the Cowl of MS.
Yeah, spring break's over. I'm back in action. You can catch my previews episodes came out this weekend. I have lots of videos that have been popping up. I have 2 videos, unpacking videos I just recorded before this show that I'll be putting out that are both from some great new artists that I have not shown anything from before. So they're going to be very fun and interesting for anybody that's into checking out artist unpacking. So lots of fun stuff coming.
Cool. I myself have a hobby artist account, Anthony Latch. That's LAATSCH. Check it out over at Facebook and Instagram to just see what I've been doodling for fun, which led into this new show that is debuting soon, but there's a trailer up there. Cartoonistbynight.com. Troy Dungera, Matt Rogers, Matt Fife, and myself. We've got the trailer out there. We all have t-shirts. Somewhere around here I have a magnet and a sticker that I can't locate, but I bought that all through the links that are offered in Troy's Threadless shop. So go to cartoonistbynight.com. You'll see links for tunesbytroy.com and then his Threadless links as well, so you can buy some merch for a show that has yet to record an episode. But we do have several people that want to be on the show that are demanding. Some guy named Franco and another guy named Art Balthazar. Some of these guys have demanded to be on the show. So my people will reach out to their people and see if we will have them on the show or not. Cartoonistbynight.com. That is going to do it for all the plugs. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend, subscribe, rate, and review, all of that fun stuff. And I think that's it. That's going to do it. This whole time, my martini glass has been as dry as my wit.
I've been a fin addict, hanging out with turtles and rabbits.
To be continued.